Hello to my lovely higher graphic communication class. So I'm going to go over how you would produce one of these interpenetration drawings. So basically an interpenetration drawing is where you have two shapes penetrating one another, and what you're asked to do is basically find the point of intersection and what that shape should look like. Now, when you come back to school after lockdown, you'll be given a series of these drawings. They're all in this booklet here, and you'll be asked to complete them. So this is the finished drawing here. So this is what I'm about to go over with yourselves. I'm going to put these drawings up on Teams for you to have a look over, for you to potentially sketch. You can have a shot at them if you have the equipment. If you don't, it is not a problem. Just try and familiarise yourself with how it works, and that in itself is absolutely fine. So basically, to start off with, now when you have a circle, you want to break it, you want to break it up into 8, and to do that you'll need your 30/60 set square. So I currently don't have a drawing board, as you'll see, so I'm having to just use the edges of my paper to get to try and get a straight line to work with the set square. Obviously we'll have all the equipment when we're back in school. So I'm going to break up this circle here. Now I'm only going to break up half of it because this half here is all I need. There's no point in me breaking up this section here because nothing happens, all right? But if you did, for instance, have another shape coming into that edge there, you would have to break that up. So I'm just going to break this all up. You can see that I've stolen a set square from the school because it has some nice graffiti on it there. It says Russ was here. Was with a W-U-Z. Yep, just making me feel like we're still there. So I'm gonna keep going, breaking this up. Struggling to use the edges of the paper as my straight line. You can fast forward this at any point just to speed up the process. So I've got that broken up. All right, now you number this like a clock. All right, so that would be 12 up here, okay? Then we would have 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, and then finally 6. So what you need to do is basically pull along each of these lines. So I'm going to take this one here and drag that along to there. Now you'll see that this line actually here, it already lines up, so I'm not having to do that there. So these are my points of intersection. Nothing happens at 6. I've got a point here at 7. I've got a point here at 8, and then I've also got a point here at 9. So what I'm going to do is bring them down. Now this is the easiest of the drawings, okay? So I'm just sort of doing this one here to get you into the kind of feel of what it's like. So this would be this is one we'd start off with, the nice easy one, and then they'd get slightly more complicated. So we'll pull that all the way down, and then finally this one here. And then I'm going to do the same with this circle here. I need to break that up. Now I'm going to use the points that I've got here. All right, so I've already got these points to work with. So to enable me to do that, I need to create something called a bounce line. So a bounce line, for most of you who did Nat 5 graphics, you'll probably know what a bounce line is. For those of you who didn't, a bounce line is a 45-degree line that's used to project the measurements of the plan down onto an end elevation, and you do that with a 45-degree set square. So I'm just going to take that there, and I'm going to project that, just trying to find myself a straight line to allow me to do this. So I'm just going to bring that all the way along there. So I've got this here. Now basically what happens is every line that you bring along from the plan, you then have to bring down onto the end elevation. So got points here, point there, and then a point there. So I'm going to bring them all along to the bounce line. So along to the bounce line, hits there. I'm going to bring this one along to the bounce line. And that'll hit there. And then finally this one here. Now I probably don't actually need this one because it's the center line, which should be the same. And then what I'm going to do is bring these down. So this one should line through the center line, which it does. Sorry, I'm just taking a minute to line it up with the edge of my plate. Nope, the edge of the paper, not the plate. And then finally this one here. So that basically tells you where these are hitting. Okay, so that's where each of these are going to be brought along. So point number 9, 999, and then it goes all the way along here. Okay, so if we bring that along, so point number 9's come down. If we then bring that along, you'll see that we've actually already got the point because it's just the top of the shape. All right, so that's there. That's our first point. Now I'm going to do these with nice big X's so that you can see them, but obviously if this was you, you wouldn't be doing that. You'd just be making nice small. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do it with X's at the top half, and then I'll do it with dots at the bottom. And then we've got our next point here. So that's point 8. So point 8 hits the circle at that point there. So I'm going to bring that along. So there's point 8. Bring that along. And then point 8 is here. So what we do is we bring them along together. 8, 8, 8. I'm going to mark that with a big X. And then we've already got point 7. So there's point 7, and then there's point 7 there. Point 7, and then we bring that along, and then there's the X there. So we need to do the same at the bottom here. So we just take that along wherever the line intersects. So I'm just going to do this, and then it'll be the same there. And then basically what you end up with is your nice, neat, intersecting shape. Now, what you can also do is you could add in an extra point. So I could, for instance, just chuck in an extra point here. Where will I put it actually? Yeah, I'm going to put it here. And I could call that point X. And then that would just mean that the drawing's just made a bit more accurate. I'll do it like a fancy maths X. So if I then brought that down, it'll just help me to make sure that that curve is reflected better. This is also an exam question. So you might get a question in the exam that it says, it'll show you this drawing. It'll never get you to draw anything, but it'll show you the drawing and it'll ask you why points X and say points Y had been added in. And basically your answer is because it'll help to make the drawing more accurate. So I'm just going to do the same again. So there's point X. So like I said, don't worry, we will do this again when we come, when we return back to school. So you really don't need to fret if you don't have any of this equipment at home. This is just about showing you the process, getting you familiar with the steps that you'll need to do so that you feel ready to start working on it when you get back. So that is X there, and then there's X. That's my point. So you can see that I'm just slightly off. Just need to change that curve just slightly. See the bottom. Now usually we would start off with this. This would probably be the first project that we would do if we were actually in school before the summer. But obviously we weren't able to do that because of everything that was going on. And there we have it. So that is what the intersection of these two shapes coming together would look like. Now, it then asks you for a half symmetrical development of the shapes there. So it's asking me for x to x, so that's this bit here. So to enable me to do that, I have to break this circle now up into sections. So I'm going to break this circle up. So a development in graph column is what you guys will know as a net in maths. So it's basically like a laid out drawing of what the shape would look like. Now, from knowledge of doing this, I know that this is going to be symmetrical. All right, so I'm only going to do it on these two bits here, and I'm actually going to do this with a different coloured pen to make it a bit easier to see. So I need to then take those lines along, so it all starts to get a bit confusing. That's why I'm starting to use a coloured or a different coloured pencil to do this. So I'm going to take that along to here, and then I've already got that one there, so I'll just take it along anyway. And then I've got this one here. Now the reason why I've had to break up this circle, in addition to having already broken up this circle here, is because this is the shape that it's asking me for the development of, and that's the important bit. I couldn't use the points that I've already got because they were for the wrong size circle. There we go. Oh, didn't draw that quite in. So I am going to label those. So I've labelled this 6 through to 12, and it's asking for me for that down there. So I'm going to label these A. So this will be A, this will be B, C, D, and then we would have E, F, G. Okay, so I'm going to label it like that, all right, so you know what I'm doing. So it's telling me to start this up here. So I'm going to do that. It's giving me a starting point. So the first distance that I need is taken from the distance between the circles. So I'm going to start off with, it's giving me XX, so that's A. So then I'll have A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F, F to G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G. That's how I've got it all. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I could also label that. So D. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So then I just need to draw these lines coming up, so that I've got somewhere to project them. So I don't know how far they're going to, I don't know how far I need to project them up yet, because I'm going to have to take the distances, so I'm just going to mark them. Now what you're seeing right now is what the higher paper used to actually totally be like. So there never used to be like what you guys do, like an assignment kind of thing. It was always just papers like this, and it had a few questions. So things have moved on quite a lot since I did higher. So there's A. Okay, B, the distance of B is from that point there to here. So you can see where I'm taking that from, B. And then C is from here to there. And then D. Okay, and then E, F, and G are just the same as these ones here, so I can just step them off from there. So E is the same as C, F is the same as B, and G is the same as A. And then what you would do, so you could darken this in now. So I'd darken in along to here. And then I would draw in what the development would look like. So just nice and rough. And then once I'm happy, I'd get that darkened in. Now, this line here, you need to make sure that you're doing your break lines with. So this isn't just a line, this has to have your break lines, which would indicate that the drawing's not quite finished. So just like something like that. All right, and then it is exactly the same process at the bottom here. So we would do, it's asking us for half development of the large vertical duct to show the true shape of the hole. So that means that you have to do it of this section here. So I'm going to start that off. So I'm going to do 6 through to 12. So 6, 7 now. Easier to draw the line first. So we've got 6, 7, 8. Then we've got 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9, 10, 11, and then 12. So same again, just go into, at each one of these points, just need to draw our vertical lines going upwards. So it's basically asking us to show what the circle cut would look like. So there's no, the shape itself is going to look like a rectangle, but it's the innards that we're being asked to do. So look like a big weird egg shape. Right, we can pull the measurements from here. So I've got the height there, so I can just drag that along. Let's get my ruler lined up. So I can drag that along. So that's that. 6. So what we're going to do now is look to see what is happening at each number. So at the number 6, nothing is happening. So we don't drag anything along. The number 7 is the starting point. Okay, so we need to, there's the point for 7 there. Now the point at 7 is also the same point as 11. So we can do both of them at the same time. So there's 7 and 11 there. So I can drag that along. And then 7, just gonna make a wee dot, and also 11. Now the reason why I can just drag these along is because it's all lining through. Remember with the top one I had to pull the measurements from with the compass, alright? So the only reason I can do this is because it's lining through. So if stuff didn't line through quite right, that would mean you'd have to use the compass to project the shapes basically. So next I've got 8. So here is the point at 8 there. So 8 hits at 2 points. So we've got the point there. Then we also have the point down at the bottom as well. So I'm just going to put that in. So 8. And remember 8 is the same as 10. So I can do both of them at the same time. Now it seems quite tricky, but there's logic to it all. It all makes sense. So don't try to get yourselves too worried that it looks complicated, because it's not that bad. So 8, and then this one down here, put that in too. Go. 10, 8, and 10, and then finally 9. So 9 intersects here and also down there. So again, I'm just going to do the same. 9 here. And then finally, at the bottom, drag it along. So here, and then here. And then the last thing that you would do is to draw that in. penciled in darker once you're happy with it. And there we have it. So finally I'm just going to draw in the last of this here. And again, this needs to be a break line because the shape isn't finished. It would look something like that. So that is interpenetration, intersection of surfaces, intersection of shapes. We will be doing this as soon as we come back after lockdown. It's the last thing, the drawing, intersecting shapes and tangency, they're the two last things we have to cover in the course. So we should be feeling comfortable, guys. Okay, cheerio.